Hi, my name is Mariana and welcome to E-goi 360 degrees. I'm part of the E-goi customer service team, so thank you for joining us on this webinar. I hope everyone's listening okay and seeing me fine. If not, please just let me know on the live chat. Please just remember that in order to write us on the chat, you need to have an active and valid YouTube channel, okay? So when we told our clients about this webinar, we didn't really get any specific questions on any doubts or issues that you might want me to address on this webinar. So we'll just go through some basic steps on E-goi, some things that you need to do in order to start using your account, okay? We basically will go through how to create a list, a contact list, or a database on your account. We'll also go through the sender's authentications. We'll create an email and an SMS campaign. We'll go through also our sign-up forms and our reports after the campaigns. And also we'll show you how you can ask for help over here at E-goi. Okay, so I'll just share my screen with you so you can have a look on how you do this. So basically, when you get on E-goi, this is what you see. This is your account. You basically have a few menus on the blue on the top. You have lists, campaigns, reports, web, where you can find the forms, apps, and the help menu. Okay, this is your dashboard, and this is also where you can find E-goi community. On the E-goi community, you can basically, if you have any ideas, any suggestions of where E-goi can improve, can do something better than it is than the current state it is in, you can give us those suggestions over there at the E-goi community. Okay, so basically, when we start using E-goi, the first thing we need is a database. We need to have a list, a contact list, to where we can send them our campaigns. So we'll just go through lists and view all. I already have a few mailing lists, and we'll just go to create here on the blue button on the right. And this is where we name our list. Its internal title, the public title, what we will be sending most often, what's the default language, and what's the business area of this list. So let's call it webinar. The public title will be webinar E-goi 360. We'll be sending mostly email. The default language, we have all of these available, okay? And we'll put English, and our business area is marketing. And then we go on to create lists. So when we have created the list, we have named our list, and we have 3 ways to put our contacts there. We can add single contacts, we can copy and paste, and we can import. For example, we add a single contact. The first name will be test. The last name will be webinar. I'll say that this person speaks English. We have the email. We have the mobile. We need to never forget that we need to have the prefix so E-goi can know where we are sending to. And then at the bottom, on that gray banner, we have the blue button that says add. And we'll say that we only want to add this one. And of course, because I missed the phone. That's why it's not letting me do this. So let's go like this. And now we're good to go. And we'll have the import. Of course, this is not a valid number, so obviously it won't import this contact. So basically, this is just for you to know that if you want to just go one by one, you can do this, and then you can just select add another next, or add just this one, and E-goi would import it. Of course, this is not a valid number. I'm just using test numbers. Okay, so then we go back. We can also copy and paste. We can choose to copy and paste email addresses or mobile numbers. And basically what we would only have to do is, for example, if I have my email addresses in a file, a text file, I will just copy them, paste them over here as the example down here. Like we say, be sure to paste a list with one contact per line and all of them in a single column. So basically I would put email 1, I would tap enter, email 2, and so on. And then at the bottom, I would again click add. And the same thing with mobile numbers. Okay. So now what I would like to show you is with the import, where we have a file. I have over in my computer an Excel or CSV file, and I will import it. I'd select the third option. And then as I will be using a CSV file, sometimes according to the codification that file has, I sometimes will need to change the delimiter and the separator. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Like this and like this. And then I would go to upload file. And I already have here my database that I will choose. And this is where E-goi takes me. E-goi takes me to the to a page where I will make the match between the columns of my file and the fields over at E-goi. E-goi has a few fields by default, like name and last name and email. But I can also add other information as I like. I can add the mobile number, the phone number. I can also add other information of my contacts that are relevant for me. For example, in this case, I have the name, I have the surname or the last name, I have the email, I also have the mobile, and I want to know where my contacts come from. So I've added city. E-goi automatically recognized that the column I named name corresponds to the first name, and the column I've named surname corresponds to the last name, and email matches email, but it didn't recognize mobile or city. So I'll just add this. I click there, choose mobile, and city. Well, E-goi doesn't have city by default. So what I do is I add an extra field, and this I can do directly here with the import. So I click new field. It will be a text type field, and I call it city. And I click add. And this will be field number 2. In this case, I'm not updating my database because I'm creating a new one. So I just click begin import, because if after creating this list, if I choose to do an update, I would have to click here. I am updating my database. So since that's not the case, I'll just go on with the import. And then E-goi asks me, is my contact or client list okay to use on E-goi? And in this case, it is. I have, for example, I know these people gave them their email and their mobile numbers directly to me, so that's okay. And I say, I understand the risks. In this case, I don't have any. I'm aware of the email marketing good practices, my contact list is opt-in, so I just click I understand and won't mess up. And E-goi will start importing. And here we have the actions done to list number 5, webinar. In this case, it has finished. I can also check the results for this import. I click on the blue button under actions and results. The only line that was ignored was the line with the name of each column, and that's just fine. Have been imported, they have been added without a blip. Okay. So if we go back to view all, here's our list. List number 5, webinar 3, E-goi 360, and I have 3 active contacts. Okay, so I click view contacts, and E-goi will take me to all the contacts that I have on this list. And in this case, as you can see, I'm not seeing the fields for the city information. So I'll just go down over here where it says columns. I click it, and here I can add whichever column I wish to see by default when I access my account, and in this list in particular. So I'll just go down, and here it is, extra field 2, city, and I'll just press the plus sign. It's added over here, and I'll update my lists, and E-goi will update it automatically. And here I have the information regarding the city. So imagine that after I've imported my list, I wish to send a campaign specifically for my contacts which come from Oporto. I don't want. I have a certain campaign that I want to send to Oporto. I have another campaign that I will want to send to those who come from Madrid, and also another one for those who come from Lisbon. But in this case, I want to specifically know all the contacts in my list that come from Oporto. And exactly how do I do that? I can do that by creating a segment. And what are segments? Segments basically are a number of criteria that if some contacts match that criteria, they will automatically go on this segment. And every time I click on the segment that will show over here at the left, all the contacts that match that segment will be given to me. So how can I create it? In this case, I want to get together all the contacts that have on the extra field number 2, city, the information Oporto. So what do? Here, E-goi is asking me, what do you want to search for? I want to search what matches, in this case, the extra field city. It will be equal to Oporto. But I could create it in another way if I wanted to know what contacts don't have Oporto on that field. I would just have to click not equal to. I have all these possibilities available. Not equal to, greater than, less than, greater or equal, or less or equal than, begins with, does not begin with, ends with, this does not end with, and this is important if I wanted to, for example, search for all the email addresses related with Gmail or Outlook. For example, I would put ends with, does not end with, and then contains and does not contain. In this case, match extra field 2 city equal to Oporto. I would hit apply. And E-goi shows me all the contacts that I have that's on the extra field number 2 have the information Oporto. Okay, and I want to save this information. So I'll just go over here, save as. I would call this segment city. I would save it. And the segment was successfully created. So if I do a refresh on my page, here it is. On the left, segments created by me, segment number 3, city. And then if I click here on city, here we have automatically E-goi shows me the segments. Okay, so basically we've gone through how to create a list, all the 3 options that we have in order to create a list, and also how to create segments. Of course, segments are as various as we want. We can do more complex segments. You'll just have to play around a bit, see what's more important to you, what's more relevant, what will help you the most in the future. Okay, so I have my list. I want to start sending campaigns to that list. But in order to send any type of campaign, there is a very important aspect that I need to have. That is a sender. Senders basically are what are identify the people that are sending a message. If I get an email on my email address, I always know who sent it to me. Okay, and this is always also valid on E-goi, because E-goi will only be your sending vehicle. Okay, all the campaigns, all the emails, SMS, whatever that you send through E-goi, even though E-goi is sending them, they will always arrive at their destination as being sent by you. And in order to be sent by you, you need to have your sender identified. So that I'll just share my screen again with you, so I can walk you through how you can add a sender, and all the things that you need to take into account when adding one. Okay. Okay, so we're back at the E-goi account. So I'll just put my mouse over my username, and this gives me a brief sum up of my account. What my balance is, if I have an email plan, what is my reputation. And here in my E-goi, I have the senders menu, and I'll just click it. Okay, and here I already have a few senders. I have my domains. I don't have a CNAME at the moment. So how do I add my sender? Over here at the orange button where it says Add Sender, I click it. In this case, I would like to add an email sender. I would choose email. I would put here the name of the sender. In this case, you should choose a name that will clearly identify your sender. So when people access their email addresses, they see your email and they go, oh, I remember signing up for this newsletter, or I really asked for this. Let's see what they have to offer. So choose your name wisely, and then the email itself that will be sending the messages or the campaigns. I would click Add Sender, and then it would be like this. On the status, I would have pending confirmation, because when I add an email sender, automatically E-goi sends me a confirmation message. So I would have to go to my email address, confirm that I have indeed created that sender, so it would become valid on E-goi. What happens next? Automatically, E-goi adds my email address sender's domain onto here domains, as you can see. Basically, all the domains that you might add with every sender will go on here. And why is this important? After you've added your sender, you need to do a few authentications regarding your hosting. Okay? Basically, you'll need to go to your hosting's control panel and do all the authentications. And why is this important? I'll just go back to the camera. So why is this important? Basically, as I told you before, E-goi will only be your sending vehicle. all your messages, all your campaigns will be sent through your sender. But all the email services are work really, really good, up to the point that they can see that, okay, it's Mariana who is sending the message, but it's E-goi who is sending on behalf of Mariana. So is E-goi allowed to do that? Can E-goi do that? Has Mariana granted E-goi that permission? This is what the email services ask to E-goi. So what you need to do is authenticate E-goi. That's how you can tell your recipients email services that E-goi is indeed allowed to send your campaigns. So basically what you'll need to do is access your hosting's control panel and add an SPF, a DKIM, and also a CNAME entry. You'll need to add these 3 entries, okay? Of course, you can tell me, okay, that's fine, but I don't know how to do that. That's perfectly fine. You just need to get in touch with us, basically. If you get in touch with us and ask us for help with that, we basically can do those authentications for you without a problem. You'll just need to give us your hosting's direct link for the control panel, the username, and the password. With those details, we can access your control panel and do that all for you. You can also ask me, but why do okay, for the SPF, okay, for the DKIM, why do I need to add a CNAME, which is basically a subdomain? You need to add a CNAME in order for E-goi to be able to connect with your server and present correctly all the links and images you might have on your campaigns. Okay, so let's go back to the E-goi account. Okay, so we're back to the account. I would have to add, and then I don't have the, what do I need to put on my control panel? I would just click authenticate, and E-goi will give me all the instructions that I might need on this pop-up on step number 2. I'll hit next, and here's everything that I need. I need to put an SPF entry, I need to put a DKIM entry, and I can also send this directly to the person who's managing my domain. And then I'll add my CNAME. And the CNAME by default, E-goi suggests that I use a CNAME that is associated with marketing. We usually suggest mkt dot and then my domain. But I can put whichever CNAME I wish. I can just put, for example, communication info, or whichever pleases me the most. Okay, so I want to send an email, but I will also want to send SMS. I'll just go back to add sender, where I initially chose email. I'll put mobile. And in this case, I can choose 2 options. I can go by a number, and basically whichever number I put here, this will be shown on my recipient's phone. I would choose the country where I'm sending, and I would put the number over here. But imagine that I have a specific brand I'm sending on behalf of. So I would just change the type from number to text. I would type in the name I would want to go on my SMSs, and then I will only have to forward to E-goi a specific file which can be a brand registry, okay, something that an official document that clearly states that I am entitled to send SMS on behalf of this specific brand. In this case, I have already added earlier a mobile number that is over here. It's already valid, but if you choose to add a number, you will have an SMS will be sent to you, okay, in order for you to confirm. And that's basically it. Okay. So we've gone through how to create a list, we've gone through how to create senders, and now I'm fully prepared to start sending my campaigns, either an email campaign or an SMS campaign. That's what we'll be doing next. So we're back at our account, and over here I have the campaigns menu. I can directly create a campaign right from here. I can view all my campaigns. We can do automatic campaigns, split tests, and our automation tool. I won't go through our split test or automation tool because we'll have in the future a few webinars specifically for this. So we'll just create a campaign. I want to send to my contact list number 5 webinar, but I could choose any of the other lists over here. So I click continue. And now I need to choose the channel I'll be using, in this case, email. And how will I be creating my campaign? From scratch, using a template, using a saved template, or I can also, if I already have my campaign prepared from my side in HTML, I could import it on this option. But I'll just go through one of E-goi's templates. And E-goi has a lot of templates according to some themes. For example, if I want newsletters or e-commerce, if I want to send a birthday campaign, Halloween that just went through, Christmas, Easter, Black Friday that's just coming up. So let's say I want to go with a fashion one. Here's the preview of the template I created, okay? And I'll choose the English language for this campaign. So it changes the text. And we'll go to next. And here we have our email editor, our E-goi. This is where I can set my campaign options. The subject, which will be the sender, all the campaign info. If I want to add something on the header or footer, any links, for example, this is where I chose it. If I want to have the tracking with the Google Analytics or our Track and Engage. If I want to add a thumbnail of this campaign, I will also do it here. So let's go for webinar here. We'll choose the sender for the one I had previously. It's not authenticated, so that's the reason why this yellow sign is showing up. I'll change the internal title. Webinar English. My reply to address will also be my sender, and that's basically it. So I'll just press continue. And here we have our E-goi. My options have been saved, and now I can start playing around and creating my campaign as exactly as I wanted to be sent. So I can add, this is my template, but I can change it as I wish. For example, our E-goi currently works as a drag and drop system. So I'll just have on the left all the items I can add, okay? So from the title, along text, images, and so on. If I click a specific item, this middle section here will open up and I can edit this element in specific. And this is where, in global colors and style, this is where I set the default settings for all the campaign. So, for example, I wish to add a title over here. I'll just drag it. Sorry about that. Let's just do a quick refresh over here. Let's try this again. Okay, here it is. See, drop here. So I'll just drop it over here. And I would go for this is E-goi 360 degrees. I would put it centered, a bigger size, for example, like so. And I would change the font for this one, for example. Okay, and I also want to add an image over here. And I can, all the images that I have, I can manage them over here. And if I want to upload a new one, I would choose this option. In this case, let's add this flower. And I want it to stay as such, or I can just do this and keep it centered. And then I save my options. And here we have it. I can also check how it would look on over here on testing and preview. And E-goi will give me a preview of my campaign. Here's the title I've added, and here's the picture. Okay, so I think this is okay. This is fine. I'm ready to send it. So I'll just hit deploy send. And E-goi reminds me, oh, I need to test my campaign. I need to see if regarding the code, if it's fine or not. So I'll just analyze it. In this case, it will go fair and good. I could check what's not okay with the campaign over here, but that's fine. I'll just hit continue. And this is a campaign deployment screen. This is where I choose if I want to send it now, if I want to schedule the sending. If I don't want to send it right now, I want to send it in an hour or two, or whenever, I can choose it here. And to whom will I be sending? In this case, I'll only send to one list number 5. And let's say I want to send this campaign specifically to that segment I've created before on my list. So where it says segment, I'll just click it, and here's where I can choose to send it to no segment, and then the campaign will be sent to the whole list. I can choose to add only to a specific email address. That's just fine. Or I can select the segments. This is the option I'll be selecting. And here I'll choose the segment I created before. Okay. This is the estimated cost, the number of subscribers, and I'll just hit send. E-goi gives me a new preview of my campaign. This is where the my last chance to check if everything's okay. If not, I'll just hit cancel and go back to the edition screen. The title, exactly how we set it. Here's the picture. So that's basically fine. So let's send it. Deploy, send. And E-goi will start sending my campaign. Here we have the actions in progress screen. This is where we tell you all the actions in progress you might have on your account. Every campaign you might be sending simultaneously will show up here. So it's basically just sending the email. Now it has already been sent. We just hit the refresh button. And if I go to my campaign menu, here's my campaign number 17. Okay, so I've sent it to that segment, but now thinking back, I think I have someone specifically that I want to send it to. But will I have to create my campaign from scratch all over again? No, we have an option to clone our campaigns, so you'll have a new campaign exactly like the one you've just sent. So we just hit this blue button over here and select clone. E-goi asks me to which list, and we'll go back to webinar and hit create. And here you have it. It's a brand new campaign, exactly like the one you sent before. So that's just fine. Okay, so I've sent my email campaign, and now I want to send an SMS campaign. We'll just go back to campaigns and create. We choose our webinar list. And now we choose SMS. In this case, let's send a campaign, an SMS campaign right from scratch. Let's not use a template. What will be the title of my campaign? Webinar SMS. Then we hit next. And this is our SMS campaign editor. Our mobile sender is already selected by default, okay? This is where I create my campaign. So let's put on the text I want to show on the SMS. So hi, welcome to E-goi. And right on the right, I have a preview of how my SMS campaign will be shown on my recipients' mobile numbers. This is where I say if I want GMS encoding or not, which means if I want to have chars or not. This is where I choose it, and it will also change how many characters I'm allowed to write. If I want to keep SMS in mobile device or not, this is where I choose that option. And if I want it to be fit in only one SMS, or it can be sent to on more than one. And also down here, I have how many characters I have available and how many I've used. In this case, I have 160 characters available, and I've used up 23. So that's just fine. I'll just save these options, and it's done. And let's go on to sending this campaign. So this is where I'll also like the email campaign sending. I want to send it now to my webinar list 5. And in this case, I won't be choosing any segments. I want to send it to the whole list. So we'll just go on next step. And this is where I just see if everything is as I want it to. To whom I will be sending to list number 5 without a segment, to my cell phone, or in this case, the recipient's cell phone. How many contacts will be receiving my campaign? How much will it cost me? In this case, 20 cents. Looking good? Yeah. So we confirm it. And when will I be sending it? Right now. But imagine that I want to, I change my mind and I don't want to send it right now. I would just hit the edit button. In this case, I want to send it now. And then we'll go to the message itself. Here's the internal title, the sender, everything looks good. And I can also have a preview of my message over here. So everything's just fine. I'll confirm it. And I didn't set any other options, so that's fine also. Now I'm absolutely ready to send my campaign. And here is E-goi sending my SMS campaign, sorry. Obviously, the mobile numbers I have on my lists aren't real, so it really wouldn't send to anyone, actually. Okay, so I've shown you how to send an email campaign and also an SMS campaign. But then you can ask, okay, so I've sent my campaigns, that's fine. But I want to see how many messages were delivered, how many weren't. Am I able to know how many people opened my emails, how many people clicked on any link I might have there? Can I know this information? Yeah, sure. For every send you do on E-goi, E-goi automatically gives you a report on all of that. That's what I'll be showing you next. Okay, I'll just share my screen again with you. So we're back to E-goi. So we go back to the campaign menu. And as you can see, right, it's still sending my SMS. But at the right of every campaign that I have already sent, that are the ones that have this little green thumbs up, as you can see, it says sent. On the right, you have a blue button that says report. Let's hit it. Obviously, as I've sent my message just a few minutes ago, E-goi is still processing all the information. That's why it's giving me all zeros. That's perfectly fine. Don't worry about that. E-goi doesn't do that. E-goi always keeps all the information. Simply, it's just processing it because we don't do static reports. Okay, when you send your campaign, you will always E-goi will keep tracking all the information regarding the campaign you sent, so that you can know that if you send your campaign today but someone only opens it next week, that open will also be registered on E-goi, so you can rest assured about that. So what information exactly does E-goi show me? Some metrics like how many messages were sent, how many recipients in this case, how many messages were accepted, how many bounces did I get. Bounces are basically messages that aren't delivered, okay? E-goi tracks all the soft and hard bounces. Soft bounces are bounces that are regarding a certain unavailability of the recipient's email address. For example, I have my mailbox full. It's a soft bounce because if I just clean my mailbox, it will be available again. But if my email is no longer valid, that's a hard bounce. It won't be. I can't go back on that. So it will be a hard bounce, and that email will be taken from my contact list. How many emails haven't been opened yet? How many unique opens do I have? How many total opens do I have? How many clicks? How many people opted out my list? How many even complained? All the social network activity, referrals, conversions, shares on Facebook, on Twitter, on Google and other social networks. And also, E-goi gives me all the percentages regarding the acceptance, bounces, opens, unopens, and so on. E-goi also tracks the location of all the people that have clicked, all the links people have clicked on, all the domains that have clicked. In this case, as you can see, here's the domain of my contacts on E-goi, and all the mail client breakdown, whether they opened on any application or on the webmail or on mobile devices, and we will be specifying each application, each webmail, and each mobile device. And this will also be valid for the SMS report. So let's just check if E-goi has already sent my SMS. And it has. It probably won't show any information right now. As you can see, it is still being processed. So I would have here the total messages sent, how many were delivered and not delivered, and regarding the delivered ones, how many were delivered on the mobile handset and how many are pending in the network operator. Regarding the not delivered messages, how many due to invalid numbers and how many due to a delivery error. So this is also regarding reports. Okay, so I already have my contact list on E-goi. I have already started sending to them. But I also have an online store or a blog or a web page or even a Facebook page. And I want to allow people to sign up for my contact list for my newsletters. How can I do that? With our sign up for tool. With E-goi, you can create sign up forms, big ones, small ones with pop-ups. You can implement them directly via HTML. You can just add a link like sign up here, add the link, people click it, they access your sign up form, and they sign up for a newsletter. We have many options available, and that's our next step. I'll show you how you can create a sign up form and all the publication options that you have available. I'll just go back to our E-goi account. Here it is. And then where can I find my forms? Over here at the web menu. I'll just click Forms. We have already a few forms created, and what E-goi does is, by default, E-goi always creates a sign-up form, because you always need to have a form associated to your list. But I want to create a new one for my webinar list. So I'll just hit the blue button over here, Create Form. I'll choose list number 5, webinar, and I'll select my language. As I said on my list, that my list was an English-speaking contact list, E-goi only allows me to choose English. So I go OK. And now E-goi asks me, okay, so how will your sign up form be? Will it be a small one, a large one, or a landing page? Do you want to use already made templates? And for example, let's go with one of our templates already. For example, the upcoming events, I'll choose this one. This is a preview again, and we'll go on to the next step. And we have an editor that's very much alike our E-goi email editing tool. This is where I can edit my form. I can do all the changes that I want. And for example, I already have here the field where people can add their name that is matched with the field first name. And I also have the email and the button for the submission. But for example, I want to change this description here on the field. I do it over here. And let's go with what's your name. And it's a required field, so that's fine. And I also do want to do the same with the email. So I'll just put here, what's your email? Also a required field. But I want to know other things about these people. And for example, I want to add a phone number field. I'll just add it over here under name. And with which field will I match it? With mobile. And here it is. I added the text here for mobile. I could change the design over here, the background, the borders, but I'll just leave it as it is. And we save these options. And imagine that I really don't like this image on the background and I want to add my logo. I'll just go to layout. And this is where I can edit my layout. I can change my backgrounds. This is where I can do all that, okay? But let's leave it as it is. So my form is ready to deploy. And what E-goi does by default is basically create a direct link for my my form. So I could just, for example, if I want to send an email campaign to a certain sign-up form for another list of mine, for example, I could basically pick up this link, copy it, put it on my campaign, and send it as it is. But imagine that I want to put it on HTML. I just click add another deployment, choose in my site, and I could choose all these options: HTML, iframe, a button, or advanced HTML. So let's hit HTML. I will have here the HTML code. I could use HTTPS if that's the case for my site. So that's just fine, and continue. And I could also I could just pick up this this deployment over here. I would click edit, copy the link, and paste it on my page. We also have other options. We can share, we can use a QR code, we can deploy it directly to our Facebook page. We could use our tool E-goi Me Up, which is basically a tool where you can have your sign-up forms directly available on a mobile phone or a tablet, or I could choose to do it on a pop-up window. So that's how you create and deploy your forms. And if you go back to web forms, you'll have the list of all the forms that you have available on E-goi, with also the indication of the language of each form. As you can see, you have the United Kingdom flag representing English, the Portuguese flag representing Portuguese, the Spanish flag representing Spanish. Okay, so after all this, you can say, okay, that's fine, but I'm not absolutely sure about a few things. How can I reach E-goi? How can I talk with the customer service team, with our support team? How can I do that? Through the help menu. You can just access your help menu. I'll show you how it works. And then you can send us a direct message and we'll get back to you as quick as possible. Okay? I'll just go back to E-goi again. So over here at the top, we have the last menu, which is help. And here we have our E-goi chat. So this is where you can reach us directly. Where it says type your question here, you basically need to just put at least 3 keywords regarding your question. For example, how will I be able to add something in my campaign? So I want to know how to edit something specific on my campaign. So let's put, for example, edit email campaign. We need at least 3 keywords in order for E-goi to recognize. So I'll just hit reply. And what E-goi will do is go over through our help desk and present you a few of our help desk articles that we have already created based on the keywords that you put. So E-goi suggests all this. And when it's done, we ask you if this was helpful or not. So let's check. For example, merging the contacts on info in my email. Let's see if this helps. If we click it, we'll just go through our help desk. This is one specific article where we tell you about the subject, the title, merging the contacts on info in my emailing. For example, hi John. We tell you all the details you need to do. But you can also access here English to search for other help articles. We have them divided by themes, campaigns, forms, integrations, accounts, and contacts. And let's say, for example, campaigns, and specifically email. And E-goi will show me all the help articles that we have regarding email campaigns. We have all these available. But I go through all these articles, and at the end I say, I'm not absolutely certain. I still have a few doubts. That's just fine. I'll just close the help desk, go back to E-goi, and if I want to ask another question to see if E-goi will come up with another help desk article that will help me, I'll just click this option. But in this case, I want to directly contact my support team. So you answered with contact support, and this is where you put your doubts. You will explain exactly what's happening, what you want to do. For example, imagine that you're creating a campaign, but it's not finishing, it's not being sent exactly as you want, and you don't really understand why. That's just fine. You just give us as much detail as possible. Even if you have prints, for example, look, I'm doing this, and the final results on my email address is this one. I'm using this specific email address, this email domain. I'm using this email software. Give us as much information as possible. We'll get your we will get your message over here on E-goi. We'll go through it, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. According to whichever service you have hired on E-goi, there's a certain answer time required. We normally don't go by it because we answer very much earlier than that. For example, if your response time is 48 hours, we'll get back to you in less than that. Okay, so that's basically it. This is E-goi 360 degrees. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you have any questions or doubts after watching this video, just get back to us at the help menu on your account. We'll be more than glad to help you. Thanks so much again, and all of you have a nice day.